So exploration in Dune Awakening is quite challenging. And most of the time, you're going to be fighting against the environment itself, which is Arrakis, the planet, which wants to kill you, whether it's the sandworms or the heat of the sun and dehydration, which means traveling at nighttime is the right time if you're going to be doing any sort of exploration. I also find that nighttime is the best time to do a lot of your building because you don't have to deal with sunstroke and the sun. Because you can go through and just kind of have a more relaxed approach because it's nighttime. However, the nighttime can also be a little dangerous because of the Sardaukar patrols, which, depending on where you're at, can come by. Now, those do have a pretty defined pattern, so if you just pay attention to where the Sardaukar patrols are going, you can generally avoid them. In this particular video, I am running through exploring from the beta weekend and looking for a specific area, and I'm battling my way through an environment while doing so at nighttime. And it's much easier to do this when you can avoid the danger of the sun, because then you can just sort of focus on what you're doing. As opposed to needing to be like, oh crap, I'm in the sun. These guys are chasing me. Oh no, I'm needing to do this thing. I'm trying to harvest. The sun's trying to kill me. Nighttime is the right time for general adventuring and general exploration, which is such a weird thing to say because most other games we've all played, whether it's fantasy games or science fiction games, single player games, MMOs, it doesn't really matter. Generally speaking, nighttime is always more dangerous. Dune Arrakis, in Dune, the planet of Arrakis, the exact opposite is true because nighttime is safer. Apart from the Sardaukar patrols, which, as long as you pay attention to where those are, I still get caught all the time, and that can be quite risky because when they do catch you, they'll send down quite a few of the mercenaries to come after you. But as long as you're equipped and geared, you'll be fine. Um, but it is an interesting scenario where, because this is a survival game, you do have to take into account the environmental factors at all time. The other interesting thing about Dune Awakening is that there are once you get the I forget what it's called now, the scythe. It's a harvester. It's the dew harvester, which allows you to go through and harvest these dew plants, which can only be harvested at night. So nighttime also becomes this perfect time to go out and, especially if you have lots of leader johns on you, you can go out and be harvesting rock, harvesting your different types of iron and metals and rocks that you need for your building and your structures and your repairs. But you could also be out there filling up liter johns of water, which you can take back and put into the cistern at your home base, which is incredibly useful. So it's kind of one of those scenarios where you're going to need to get used to traveling at night and doing a lot of your exploration at night in Dune Awakening because that is the safest time of the cycle to go out there and do lots of things. Now, you can't always wait for the day night cycle. I mean, if you're on a limited time to play, you're going to have to go out there and adventure during the day, which is why one of the interesting things about the way Funcom has done this is, as an example, your bike, your sand bike, and vehicles, generally speaking, allow you to immediately have shelter from the sun. So you could be starting to roast up and be in the broad daylight, but as long as you jump on your sand bike, you're suddenly sheltered because of the shield effect. Um, that comes with that. Not a literal shield, but you're on the bike and it's considered that you're then protected from the sun. So you should always make sure you're carrying your vehicle device with these so that you can spawn your vehicle whenever is needed to get out of the sun if you happen to be in a place or playing at a time when you can't just wait for the night cycle to come around and you have to be exploring during the day. Also, I found that if you're going to be doing any sort of climbing, it's going to be better to do this at nighttime if you can, because you'll be able to find the best handholds without having to worry about where the sun is coming from. If you try to do any climbing during the day, it can be a little challenging because as you're scaling, the sun is going to be moving around. And if you're trying to get up high enough to where you can drop a survey probe and you're on a sheer face and you're starting, suddenly you run out of protection and you start taking sunstroke damage, your stamina meters are going to start to plummet, which is very detrimental to your adventuring. By the way, I loved the shot up there of the navigator's ship, and this is, by the way, this is a perfect example of what's up. Oh, he'll start destroying that box. Chris was just looking, so we have, it's a really hot day today. Lucas just jumped in this box. We've got all the cats in here because it's like 42 degrees Celsius outside today. So the problem is he chews the box, so he's already destroyed. Like it's a cardboard box. I could show you guys really quick. I've got just chunks of cardboard because he gets in the box and just har har har. Oh yeah, but it's better that than the cables because he's chewed up two of these headsets and they're really expensive. Anyway, um, the nighttime is the right time in Dune Awakening, kids, for everything: exploration, harvesting, building. The big thing with building too is because it takes so long to place, especially if you're building something big. You have to plan those builds out, and it can take a long time to get all your structures in place. And if you're not perfect at it and you're doing it for the first time, you're gonna build something up and be like, oh, that doesn't quite work. Tear that down, build that up, tear that down. I mean, the first big build we did during the beta weekend took 2 full sessions. It was about 8 hours of building in real time. We went through, I don't even know how many day-night cycles. And the frustrating thing was that every time the um, the daytime cycle would come around, we would have to basically run out, place a couple of things, go back and hide and wait for the the meter to go down. Run out, build a few things, watch the meter start to rise, go back and find some shade and let it go back down again. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. And there's ways around that you can build, try to build a wall that can shelter you, but the sun is eventually, depending on where you place. And this is the big thing too, is about, by the way, there's one of those Sardaukar patrols right there, out there over the desert. If at all, when you're building a structure, think about it the same way you would in real life. Try to face, if you can, you're going to want to try to find something. And in the case of my building that I built during the beta week, and we were just doing something for the purposes of fun and not necessarily worrying about peak building, but try to focus on building something that is north and east facing. Um, you are still going to get sun no matter what, but if you're north facing, you will, generally speaking, you'll get the most amount of shade, um, as you would, during, if you're south facing. Because if you're south facing, you're going to be getting sun the whole day. So if you face it on the north, you'll get a little bit of sun in the morning, a little bit of sun in the afternoon, but you'll generally be able to get more building hours out of it if you build north facing. These patrols are a pain in the butt, but you can avoid them. Just don't get stuck. But in this case, we're trying to climb up and find something specific. I don't use any guides or anything like that, so I was looking for the entry point for this trial here, and so it was all about climbing up and trying to figure out exactly where I was. And that's much easier to do at nighttime when you have the safety of the shadows and you're not worrying about sunstroke on top of the enemies trying to get you and what's the best path. By the way, I love this. This is not going to carry me all the way down. This was an experiment. Um, Definitely took a bunch of damage from that, and you can, even with that flotation belt, you can still take a lot of fall damage once you start picking up speed, because it's not, it only floats for a little while and then you start to plummet and it's like, oh, you start to pick up speed, then you could eventually go splat. We died a few times during the beta weekend. Anyway, the nighttime is the safe time to travel as much as you can. Try to keep your adventuring, your building, your exploration sessions to the nighttime, your harvesting cycles at nighttime, to stay safe. The worms are out there regardless of day or night. And like I said, the starter car are a danger that you have to be aware of, just as long as you're aware of where they cycle through for their patrols. It's much safer, as a direct opposite of every other game you've played. It is much safer to do things at night in Dune Awakening. So keep that in mind, and hopefully we'll see you in the live game when it goes live here in a few days. Till then, stay safe, happy gaming, and I'll see you guys on the sands of Arrakis.